There is a change moving quietly, yet powerfully, through the energy of the divine feminine. She is not who she once was. The parts of her that used to cling, chase, or wait have dissolved like mist at dawn. She has stepped into a different vibration, one that no longer bends or breaks to fit the timeline of the divine masculine. And whether he admits it or not, he feels it. He feels the weight of her transformation pressing on his spirit, urging him to rise in ways he has avoided for lifetimes. This is where the twin flame journey grows sharp and undeniable. When one soul shifts, the other is inevitably pulled into the fire of awakening. What happens when she evolves beyond the patterns they once shared? What happens when he can no longer escape the mirror of her growth? The answers are not simple, but they are sacred. And as you continue reading, you will see why his heart is stirred, his choices are tested, and his very being is called into accountability by her evolution. Before we dive deeper, if this message already resonates with you, I invite you to join the Inner Sphere channel membership for exclusive guidance, deeper teachings, and sacred insights that go beyond what is shared publicly. Your membership directly supports this channel, helping us keep this space alive for twin flames across the world. You can also support through Super Thanks, a beautiful way to give back and keep the light of this work burning bright. Now, let us step into the heart of this revelation together. The divine feminine has walked through lifetimes of pain, suppression, and cycles of waiting. For too long, her energy was tied to the hope that he would awaken, that he would arrive, that he would see her worth clearly enough to claim their union. But something extraordinary has shifted. She is no longer pouring her essence into the void of waiting. She has reclaimed herself. Her evolution is not about turning away from love. It is about embodying love so deeply within herself that she no longer fears loss or rejection. She carries the energy of the sacred sovereign, the feminine who knows that her wholeness is not contingent upon the masculine's readiness. This independence radiates like a beacon, not pushing him away, but rather summoning him into alignment with her strength. Her growth does not diminish their bond, it elevates it. What makes this transformation so profound is that it is not born from bitterness or disillusionment, but from awakening. The divine feminine has realized that the love she longed to receive was never missing, it was always within her. She has broken free from ancestral patterns of waiting to be chosen, rescued, or validated. Instead, she now stands as a sovereign being who knows that her worth is divine, untouchable, and eternal. This inner reclamation becomes the foundation of her entire vibration. In this evolution, the feminine no longer seeks to control the masculine's timeline, nor does she diminish herself to fit into his delays. She allows him the freedom to rise at his own pace, while she continues to expand in her own light. And paradoxically, it is this very release that calls him closer. Because in her sovereignty, she becomes magnetic, not by force, but by the sheer power of authenticity. She is no longer a reflection of lack, she is the embodiment of wholeness, and that is what changes everything. Even if the divine masculine cannot articulate it, he feels the vibration of her transformation. The old ways no longer work. Where once he could linger in hesitation, distracted by illusions or fears, now he senses that her energy is no longer tethered to his choices. This unsettles him, not because she is gone, but because she has risen. He feels the pressure in subtle but undeniable ways. He may feel restlessness, a growing urgency, or a sense of being out of time. He may even project his discomfort outward, becoming frustrated or distant, because deep down he knows that she is no longer anchored in his shadow. Her evolution is like a mirror he cannot escape, reflecting back the parts of himself that must grow, heal, and awaken if he wishes to walk beside her. This shift unsettles him not only because of what it means for their connection, but because it stirs a deep recognition within him. Her sovereignty highlights the gaps in his own alignment, making it harder to hide behind excuses, distractions, or the comfort of old patterns. He may not yet have the words to explain what he is feeling, but his soul recognizes the energy of truth when it meets it. And the truth is this: she has risen, and the space she holds is one he must now grow to inhabit. The masculine often experiences this as a push and pull within himself. On one hand, he feels drawn to her light, captivated by the strength and peace she now radiates. On the other, he feels the weight of accountability, knowing that to stand beside her means facing his fears, healing his wounds, and letting go of identities he has long outgrown. Her evolution awakens him in ways that are uncomfortable, yet unavoidable. For the deeper he feels her shift, the more he realizes that his own soul is calling him to rise. Her sovereignty is not about separation, it is about creation. By stepping into her wholeness, the divine feminine begins to co-create her reality with the universe. She is no longer seeking validation from the masculine, but instead anchoring her worth in the divine truth of her own soul. This energy shifts the entire twin flame dynamic. The masculine now faces the choice of meeting her in this higher frequency or continuing to dwell in cycles that no longer resonate with her. The impact of her sovereignty is that it raises the energetic bar. The connection still exists, the love is eternal, but she has evolved beyond dependency. This creates a sacred pressure on him, one that invites him into the fullness of his own divine masculine essence. What makes her sovereignty so powerful is that it transforms the space between them. No longer is the feminine holding herself small, waiting for him to lead, or bending her light to keep the bond intact. She is rooted in her truth, grounded in her divinity, and willing to let the connection stand on its own strength rather than on her sacrifices. This changes how energy flows in the union. Instead of cycles of imbalance, there emerges the possibility of true reciprocity, a partnership of equals, each whole in themselves, yet intertwined in divine purpose. For the masculine, this shift may feel daunting. It calls him to step into a level of maturity and authenticity he may have long resisted. Yet it also offers him a gift, the chance to meet her in a space where love is no longer tangled with need, but instead expands from freedom. Her sovereignty, then, is not a barrier to their union, it is the very foundation of the sacred love they were always destined to embody together. The masculine cannot ignore this shift forever. Her evolution is not a punishment, it is an invitation. For lifetimes, he has carried the role of protector, builder, and leader, yet often from a place of control or fear. Now, he is being called to embody those roles from a place of love, balance, and divine alignment. When he feels the pressure of her evolution, it is not meant to break him but to awaken him. He must rise because the frequency she now holds leaves no space for stagnation. She has stepped into her divine destiny, and in doing so, she calls forth the masculine to meet her there. The deeper truth is that his soul longs for this. Beneath his fears, his essence yearns to rise into the fullness of his divine counterpart. This rising is not about proving himself through external success or worldly achievements, but about embodying his true divine nature. It means shedding the masks of ego, pride, and avoidance to reveal the strength that comes from vulnerability and authenticity. The masculine must rise into his heart, into his truth, into the courage to love fully without retreating into shadows of fear. This is the awakening her evolution sparks within him, not a demand, but a soul-deep calling that reverberates through every layer of his being. For too long, he has carried the illusion that time is infinite, that he can delay his choices and still return to her unchanged. But the energy she holds now will not sustain half-steps or hesitation. He must rise because the union they are destined for exists on a plane beyond fear, beyond control, beyond delay. And in truth, it is what he has always longed for, to finally embody the sacred masculine that his soul came here to be, standing fully beside her as her equal, her partner, and her divine mirror. Union is no longer about chasing, waiting, or forcing. As she evolves, the feminine embodies a frequency that makes the old dynamics impossible to sustain. The masculine, in turn, feels drawn into a higher vibration of love, one built on mutual respect, sovereignty, and sacred alignment. This is the dance of twin flames in their truest form. It is not about one completing the other, but about both standing fully in their essence and weaving together a union that is balanced, conscious, and eternal. Her evolution may feel like pressure to him, but in reality, it is the spark that ignites his own awakening. Together, they are not recreating old cycles, they are building something entirely new. In this higher frequency, union is no longer a negotiation of wounds or an entanglement of fears. It becomes a meeting of two sovereign souls, each whole within themselves, choosing to merge not out of need but out of divine purpose. The energy that once kept them caught in loops of longing and retreat dissolves, replaced by a clarity that only comes when both step into alignment with their true selves. This is the sacred rhythm of union, an equal exchange of giving and receiving, holding and releasing, leading and following, all flowing in harmony rather than struggle. For the masculine, this dance feels like a reorientation of everything he thought love was. No longer can he hide behind control, avoidance, or half-hearted presence. Her energy compels him to meet her fully, to show up in authenticity, to choose love without resistance. And as he does, he discovers that union in higher frequencies is not a burden but a liberation. It is the fulfillment of what both souls have sought across lifetimes, a love that is not bound by fear, but expanded by truth. For the feminine, evolving into sovereignty required courage, the courage to let go of waiting, to release attachment, and to trust in her divine path. For the masculine, meeting her in this space requires a different kind of courage, the courage to face himself, to heal wounds he has long avoided, and to step into love without fear. This journey demands honesty, humility, and surrender from both sides. But as you know, the twin flame path was never meant to be easy. It was meant to be transformative. Her evolution does not leave him behind, it beckons him forward, into the highest expression of love they are destined to share. The feminine's courage has already been tested through lifetimes of silence, rejection, and cycles of self-betrayal. By choosing to honor herself, she has shown extraordinary strength, because stepping into sovereignty is not simply an act of independence but an act of faith. She has had to trust that love will not be lost when she no longer clings to it, and that the masculine will eventually meet her in the space of her authenticity. Her bravery lies in releasing control, in standing firm in her truth, and in believing that the universe supports her sacred path. For the masculine, courage looks different, yet equally profound. It is not enough for him to admire her strength from afar, he must claim his own. This means confronting the parts of himself he has avoided, his fears of intimacy, his resistance to vulnerability, his belief that he is not enough. Rising to meet her requires him to strip away the armor of avoidance and step into the unknown, where true love asks him to risk everything for the sake of authenticity. Together, their courage forges a union unlike any other. It is not a fragile connection, but a divine partnership built on the willingness to transform. This courage ensures that what they create is not only love, but a living embodiment of the divine plan they both carry within their souls. Beloved, the divine feminine has evolved, and her evolution changes everything. She is no longer the energy of waiting or chasing, she is the energy of sovereignty, creation, and divine love. And the divine masculine, whether he admits it or not, feels the sacred pressure of her transformation. He is being called to rise, not just for her, but for himself, for their union, and for the divine mission they share. Now I ask you, do you feel this shift within yourself, or in your connection with your divine masculine? Have you noticed how his energy responds to your growth, your sovereignty, your evolution? Share your story in the comments below. Your voice may be the very light another soul needs to hear. For more guidance on navigating these sacred shifts, explore the Inner Sphere channel membership. Inside, you'll receive exclusive insights, deeper teachings, and a supportive community walking this path with you. And if you feel called, you can also support this work through Super Thanks, helping us continue to keep this channel a sacred space for twin flames around the world. The time of waiting has ended. The time of rising has begun.